Welcome to this, our first football-related episode of the 2024 preseason editions of Bruce Monan's Computer Points. I am Bruce Monan, your host, recording from my new home studio in the basement in Minster, Ohio. Once again, checking in from the greater Cincinnati area, home of the Cincinnati Bearcat baseball team, who are currently fourth in the Big 12 and teetering on the cusp of what I think would be their first ever at-large invitation to the NCAA baseball tournament. We have our co-host, executive producer, and chief researcher, Rebekah Monan.
I'm going to expose myself here a little bit. I should have assumed there was a baseball tournament, but I never knew that it existed. Good for us. I don't think they've got any fans in the stands at UC.
They actually do pretty well these days. I've
nice.
seen some video. Apparently, it's quite the occasion. They have cheap concessions and cheap entrance fee, and lots of people show up. So
they always played really good music.
It could be. I couldn't tell you.
Anyway, congrats to the baseball team, I guess.
Yeah. When I was in school, the home run fence was a chain link fence that didn't quite go all the way to the bottom, and occasionally the ball would squirt under. And once I saw an opposing player slide after a ball and got his leg caught underneath the fence.
Ooh.
Things have improved a little bit since those days.
Health and safety risk.
It wasn't real good, no.
Yeah, just a bit. Well, I'm glad they're getting success and attention, and they're not just a cut through to avoid some of the hill up by Edwards anymore.
Yes. So, apparently they have four regular season games left, 3 of which are against the top team in the conference. If they can win 2 of those 4 teams, the quote-unquote experts think they'll get in. The baseball bracketologists, I guess.
Baseball people do love their brackets and their statistics, even more than the football people.
That's for certain.
If you start a baseball statistics podcast, I will have to step back from. Don't think I can co-host that.
Yeah, no thanks. I tell you.
I have some recommendations for people who would be excited for it, but I would have to tap out.
Well, I would not be one of them, so that would be trouble. Now, Little League statistics, I was big on those back in the day. My dad used to keep those on this big paper. It was like what they had for spreadsheets before they had spreadsheets, a big paper chart.
A spreadsheet?
It was actually a sheet of paper that spread out quite a bit, yeah.
I imagine the pitching statistics were pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
As with the home runs.
Yeah, singles, doubles, triples, home runs, batting average. And we were pretty generous on the errors in Little League, we know.
So, aside from Little League statistics, is there anything else we want to talk about before we dive deep into the football?
We do indeed have some new news.
New
news, yes.
Okay.
These podcasts can now be found on YouTube if you are interested.
Ooh, exciting.
Now, no, you do not get to see us as we perform. My family has all said that not only do I have a face best kept off video.
No, that's not what we said.
Well, they did say I am beyond unwatchable with my movements as I podcast. I was just watching the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert, and beforehand they put a warning up. Said there's lots of flashing lights and sudden movements here, and if you have something or another. Epilepsy could cause problems.
I don't think you're moving enough to trigger epileptic seizures. I just think the movement makes it hard to edit the video because you're not in the same position the whole time.
I did have one relative tell me he couldn't watch anymore and had to turn it off.
Oh, you sent a trial run out to people?
Yes, I did.
All right. So we have a YouTube channel. Is that listed also under Bruce Monan's Computer Points, or is it a different name?
Absolutely, it is. It's under Bruce Monan's Computer Points at the moment.
Is it?
Yes.
So I just Googled it, and I'm seeing Bruce and Deb Monan.
There is a Bruce Monan's Computer Points channel on YouTube.
Huh. All right, that's exciting.
Oh, you found it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you will not see us on YouTube. However, if you watch this particular podcast, you will see that as we discuss various divisions, on YouTube will be a map of the state of Ohio that shows you which schools are in which region in each division. So there'll be nice visual aids. As the season starts, we'll be able to put the actual computer points up as we talk about them.
It's like we're giving a PowerPoint presentation.
Exactly. And just as exciting.
Just as exciting. No transitions. Well, maybe. Tune in to
We'll
find
see.
out.
I saw the thing in the software for doing transitions. Whether I bother myself is another matter.
That's step one. Yep.
So, the reason we are doing this podcast is that recently the Ohio High School Athletic Association has released the final enrollment numbers for the 2024 season. And with them, also the competitive balance numbers, which are added to determine which divisions all the schools will be playing football in this coming season. Over the next
Big
two
day.
podcasts, we will highlight the 88 teams we follow on this show and let you know what divisions and regions they will be competing in this fall.
Ooh, that's a team for every county there.
It could be, yes. It's not the way it works,
It is
but it
not
could
the
be,
way it
yes.
works, but that is a heck of a lot of counties and teams to follow.
We actually
We
gained
will.
two teams this year, which we will mention later in this podcast.
Ooh,
Teaser.
teaser.
So we will look in this podcast at the 31 teams that we cover in divisions 1 through 5, as well as the eight-man football teams that we watch.
There we go.
We will move on to the 49 teams in division 6 and 7 in the following episode. No wonder it always seemed like there were a lot of teams in those regions in division 6 and 7, Rebekah.
It's because there's a lot of teams in those regions that we follow, Dad.
And then, not too far in the future, we will have our preview podcast where we project where all these teams may well finish in the coming season. Or at very least, maybe who the favorites are and who are the teams that need to make a big jump this year, right? But first, it's time to go off topic again.
We do love doing that.
If you look on the YouTube channel at this moment, there is one podcast there. It is our recent effort on the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Rebekah, any updates since then?
Sure. So since the U.S. Figure Skating Championships finished, the next logical progression is take all those national champs and send them to Worlds. So that happened in March, I believe. We were out in March. It might have been April. We can edit that. That happened after the Nationals, after our excitement, a couple weeks later. And each of those national champs went on and competed their darndest, and in Dad and I's opinions, skated better than they did at Nationals.
Yeah, I feel kind of gypped, actually.
Well, the really good ones were setting to prime their season for Worlds. That's where it matters. Well, it matters everywhere, but you understand. Sports are universal.
Yes, I'll be touching on that very topic in just a minute or two. But anyway.
Ooh, exciting. But yeah, US did well. Our guy, our boy, Ilya Malinin, the 19-year-old wonder, won the men's, did a nice sweep, landed his quadruple axel, and impressed the heck out of everyone.
Didn't he make something like 6 or 7 quads in a row in that performance?
Yeah, pretty much all of his jumps were quads. He's insane. So
there was one like triple combo that he did, which might have been harder than the quads.
They usually are. Yeah. So not to say the triples weren't as good, just means he put them close together. Special note for the men's competition, the champion from France, Adam Xiao-Him-Fa, came in third, which is remarkable because he did that by skating a program that included a backflip, which is still a banned move. So he won third, coming from I think he came up from 16th or 19th place with a 2-point automatic penalty for doing a move he wasn't allowed to do. So that was pretty fun to watch.
This is my kind of sport. You do well by doing banned moves. I like it.
He didn't get points for the banned moves. He just did so good in everything else that they're like, yeah, you can still jump 10 positions. It's not banned in that you get disqualified. It's banned in that we'd really rather you didn't. So there's rumors the ISU, the International Skating Union, is considering unbanning it and is able to do it so consistently well. But we'll see how that goes.
I mean, it's kind of like if a football team put 15 guys out and the penalty for that was they only got 5 points for the touchdown instead of 6 or
something like that. Yeah, it's not terribly detrimental. In other news, women's did well. The expected Japanese champ won the whole thing, but Isabel Levito from America came in second. Our favorite Amber Glenn had a high stress day, which means she self-destructed a little bit and came in 10th, but she still did a triple axel, and we're still very proud of her.
She pulled an Amber Glenn, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't unexpected. Ice dance, victors were America, Madison Chalk and Evan Bates, and they were not sick, so they did even better. And pair skating, that was the story of the week in pair skating. It was won by the Canadian duo, one of which was a Diana Stellato Dudek, who left the sport when she was like 16. She did well at juniors. I think she made her senior debut and then took some time off. Took a total of 13 years off, came back to skating, and won Worlds as I think she's 41. So there's hope for all of us old skaters out there. You just have to start for 15 years before you quit and then come back.
For all of us old people in general. Here we go.
Yeah. So it was an exciting show, and I'm very happy with all of the outcomes. So.
All righty. As frequent listeners to this might remember, I am now deeply into the professional cycling season myself.
You sure are.
In a kind of a strange year, almost all of the serious contenders for this year's Tour de France have suffered serious injuries early in the season. That leaves one very good, healthy rider, two-time champion Tadej Pogačar, who is considered perhaps the greatest cyclist since Eddie Merckx.
Ooh.
He decided this year to not only ride the Tour de France, but to do the Giro d'Italia, the Tour of Italy, which is the second most important 3-week-long Grand Tour.
Is he going for the Triple Crown of bicycling?
I hope, but we shall see. No word yet.
Gotta round it out with the Vuelta.
Since 1998, nobody has won both the Giro and the Tour de France because it takes too much out of you to do one big race and then 3 weeks later start another one.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
However, the Giro paid him really tall stacks of money to show up. Word is at least 7 digits.
Oh my gosh.
So he showed up, and now he's already ahead by 3 minutes after the first week. He won a time trial, won a mountain stage, and almost won a sprint stage ahead of all the sprinters. He's just playing with the field.
What?
Because, much as Rebekah said earlier, the Tour de France coming up that everyone bases their season on, you don't quite get the best riders and the best efforts at the Giro d'Italia quite often. So he might have this race in the bag already and be starting to actually use the rest of the race as training for the Tour.
Yeah.
And with all these other riders injured and trying to make comebacks, he will now be the favorite for the Tour de France. And if he does that, I really hope he goes to Spain for the Tour of Spain and tries for the triple. That has never been done in the history of cycling. So
that would be wild.
The last time anyone did the Giro Tour double was 1998. And that was, what's his name? Italian dude.
Marco Pantani?
Yeah. And that was Marco. But that was back in 1998 was the last time that happened. And if you're familiar with cycling, you all know what was happening in cycling in 1998. He was not allowed to defend a title in 99 because he was caught doping, of course. So anyway, we're looking at something that hasn't been seen in quite a while in cycling, and we're interested to see if it happens or not. And it should happen before the football season starts, which is very convenient for us.
It really is. It's pretty excellent timing you've chosen for your preferred observational sports.
Well, I think it's time we get on to the purpose of this podcast.
Yeah,
and
that'd
we
be
are
fun.
we're going to talk about where teams ended up, what divisions and what regions they will be competing in this coming year. So we're going to start as usual with Division 1 and start our way down. We follow one team in Division 1. That is Findlay. They are in Region 1. They shifted over from Region 2, where they played last year. If you look at the map, if you're on YouTube, Region 1 consists of 15 schools from the Cleveland, Akron area, 2 from Toledo, and Findlay. But if you look at the map, every other Division 1 school in the state basically is either in Cleveland, Dayton, or Cincinnati.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Findlay kind of goes on the outskirts of some division or another. This year it's Division 1.
So if they were in the other region, they would still have an 1.5 to 2 hour drive to every game.
Yeah, they really need to do well so they host playoff games instead of driving to them.
Yeah.
Now, good news for Findlay. 18 teams in this region. All but 2 of the teams will make the playoffs. So I'm expecting Findlay to be playoff bound later on. That's usually a pretty good guess, right?
Yeah. The odds are with us.
The odds are ever in our favor.
Oh, I know. Just did the Met Gala weekend. The Hunger Games comparisons are a little bit on the nose.
They were even in on high fashion or low fashion among rich people, whatever. All right. Division 2. And if you're on
Division 2.
YouTube, a new map has shown up on your screen at this point.
We're just so fascinated by it. We're going to narrate every time the picture changes.
We are following Region 8. There are 25 teams there. We follow Troy, Lima Senior, Sydney, and Piqua. They are all returning. They were all in Region 8 last year. Of those 4 schools, only Piqua missed the playoffs last year. And if you look at this region, it is basically all schools along I-75, with Sydney as the northmost team and Cincinnati schools down at the southern end. So again, Sydney going to have some drives for the playoffs if they get there.
Yeah, it really is just a fascinating population density map spread out over 7 to 8 divisions, if you count 8-man.
Yeah, it really is. Tells you
Kind
where
of
the
fun.
people are, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Moving over to Division 3, we're going to check out 2 regions there. First will be Region 10, which has 26 teams. Last year, Defiance was the most interesting team we followed in this region, and not just because they were the only one. There were lots of close games for the Bulldogs last year. If you remember, they went for a lot of 2-point conversions, and they won and lost games by 1 point through the season. They were quite fun to follow. Hopefully, we'll see more close games from Defiance this year. Oh, and speaking of Defiance, a quick shout out to my good friend from Defiance, former podcast guest Keith Hunsinger, currently rehabbing from open heart bypass surgery right now. Maybe he's listening. Get well soon, Keith. You know, if there's an 8-man final in Liberty Center again this year, we could probably grab Keith and bring him along with us.
That would be very fun. I would go to it again. That was a blast last year.
Now, here in Region 10 this year, Lima Shawnee is also in this region. So we have 2 WBL teams to follow here.
Ooh.
Shawnee was not as interesting to watch last year as they fought through a tough, winless season. And once again, the Indians here, the most southern team in this region. So again, one of the teams that are right on the border. Going to have some traveling if they make the playoffs. I'm sure they would be very happy to do that traveling this year after last season. In Region 12, that would be the southern end. This region has 27 teams, and it has the trio of WBL teams in Salina, St. Mary's, and Wapakoneta as the northern boundary of the region. St. Mary's is moving up from Division 4 last year. They must be gaining some population in St. Mary's, Ohio.
Must be, yeah.
Come playoff time, this region goes all the way east to Chillicothe. So it could be a good long possible drive for some teams in this region come week 11 of the season. Chillicothe's here. They were in Region 11 last year and shifted over. You never know where those teams on the boundaries are going to get moved to season by season.
Isn't Chillicothe? I know this is the Southwest region, but that feels more like the Columbus area.
It's south of Columbus, maybe even a little east, mostly south, though. That's where I'm sure we've taken you there. That's where the Tecumseh play is. So,
Yep.
for all you Ohio history buffs, I imagine most of you have made the trek to Chillicothe at one time through the years.
It's a very impressive outdoor theater setup.
I wonder if it's still there.
I hope so. It's really cool.
I do too.
It's an open amphitheater on a hill, and you think, oh, they're just going to run along the hill and do their acting of historical moments and battles, and then suddenly there's like doors opening up in random spots and guys popping in and out of. It's very cool. It's a very cool setup. Highly recommend.
I like the explosion in pond with a big water fountain.
Yeah. Let's see. What was it? Outdoor theater?
Yep. But while she looks up that, we also follow Tip City, Tippecanoe, Greenville, and Bell Fountain in this region. Bell Fountain also slides over from the Columbus-centric Region 11, while Greenville was the only team we follow to miss the playoffs last year. So most of these teams were in the postseason last year. In fact, the other 5 all finished in the top 8, so they all actually hosted their opening round playoff games last year. So I guess we should see some good quality action in Region 12.
Should be happy to know that the Tecumseh outdoor drama experience is still running at the Sugarloaf Mountain Amphitheater.
That's the place.
It opens in June of this year, June 14th to September 1st.
All right. For any of you interested, Rebekah and I both give it a big thumbs up. Highly recommend it. I believe I've actually been there 3 or 4 times myself.
I think you have.
All right, switching over to Division 4 and a new map on our screen here. Region 14 has 26 teams. It's a kind of a strange region. Of these 26 teams, 11 either came down from Division 3 or moved up from Division 5 last season. So lots of change in this region. We follow 6 teams here. Of those, only Van Wert hosted a playoff game last year. They are joined by WL teams Kenton, Elida, who is down from Division 3, and Ottawa Glandorf, who is moving up from Division 5. So it seems that WBL's kind of coming together, concentrating in Divisions 3 and 4 this year. We also follow Napoleon and Ben Logan as in this region. Now, of note, when playoff time hits, the state championship team from Cleveland Glenville has been shifted east to Region 13.
Ooh,
In a
okay.
move that makes a lot more geographical sense than last year's arrangement. Now, this region still goes all the way east to just short of Cleveland.
Mhm.
It brings in towns like Lorain, Bay Village, Lodi, and Orville, for those of you familiar with the region. I'm not, to be honest. I don't know those towns, but
No, but Lodi sounds like it could be a fun time.
I've never been in or through Lodi, but I know that's where Cloverleaf High School is. So
It's in Medina County on Route 42. It's about as big as Minster is.
really, but yet in Division 4. So
Population 2,700.
they must have a lot more suburbs and country
They
people show up.
must. People trying to get out of Medina.
That's the goal over there. We got to get out of Medina.
It's a cute little historic downtown as well.
Maybe it's people are being attracted in, not. Of course, you'd think they would move there then, wouldn't you?
It's also got a hospital within its boundaries, so there might be a lot of people driving in out of town. State-of-the-art library, dining establishments, and service providers.
What is a state-of-the-art library? The books are newer?
They've probably got them all accurately scanned into the system, and Wi-Fi and computers for use of the town's purposes. Yeah, I'm guessing all their local newspapers have been moved from microfiche to digital scanning.
Oh, that would have
State of
made
the
life
art,
so
Dad.
much easier when I was researching Minster's old history for stats.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I was the master of the microfiche there for a couple of years.
I remember those days. Pretty cool.
Continuing in Division 4, we're moving south to Region 16. 27 teams here. This region starts with Urbana at its most northeastern corner. If you draw a line from Urbana to Cincinnati, most of the schools in this region are fairly close to that line. Besides
Huh.
Urbana, we also follow Tip City Bethel. So just 2 teams here. Urbana had a nice 8-4 season, including a playoff win last year. Bethel struggled at 2-8. So we had both feast and famine in this region. I like that.
It's a good phrase. It's a real good phrase.
All right, we're starting to get down to the smaller schools here. We'll move to Division 5. Region 18 has 25 teams in it. I found this to be a very interestingly shaped region. It basically follows I-90 from the Indiana border to just west of Cleveland, then follows I-71 southwest to just short of Columbus. Looks kind of like a big fish hooker or something. We follow just 2 schools in this region. Both had great years in 2023. Liberty Benton had a 9-1 regular season before losing their opening playoff game. Liberty Center went undefeated until losing in the state championship game by a touchdown against Perry. And finally, continuing in Division 5 with the Southwestern Moore region, we have Region 20, 24 teams here. This is more your standard Southwestern Ohio region, clustered around I-75. We follow 8 teams here, but only 2 of them were in this region last year, so lots of movement. Our holdovers are Milton Union and Miami East. I remember well following them in this region last year. Indian Lake slides over from Region 18, while Lima Bath and St. Paris Graham dropped down from Division 4. There are also 3 teams that moved up from Division 6. Arcana missed the playoffs last year, but West Liberty Salem and Versailles, they just may fight for the top of this region. West Liberty Salem had a 9-1 regular season and won a playoff game, while Versailles reached the Division 6 state championship game before losing to Kirtland. And many teams have felt the pain of losing to Kirtland in a state championship team.
I sure have. I would say your reading of this region being clustered around 75 is a little bit generous.
Oh,
They do
yeah.
follow the line, but it's a widespread
It's,
cluster.
yeah, they're not quite, they don't all quite have their own exit off I-75.
No. In fact, most of them aren't even listed on the sign. You have the one at the top of the road that says this town this way and this one another way.
No, but it's basically Cincinnati to a little bit north of Dayton.
Yeah, follows that line generally.
Now, you would think we do Division 6 next, but we are going to save that for our next podcast because, as you
Ooh.
remember, we have a lot of teams in Division 6.
So we want to make the next podcast a really beefy one.
Beefy, yes. But we're going to skip here down to the 8-man division because there's only 8 teams here, and it'd be easier to get it out of the way here than in our next podcast.
I mean, only 8 that's more than we've had before. 8 is pretty high for our 8-man guys.
That's true. We had 6 teams last year. So this year there are 8 teams, all members of the Northern 8 Conference. I believe they are still doing the top 4 in the regular season. Will go into a 2-round playoff for the championship. No word yet on the site. Don't know if it'll be at Liberty Center again. I would like it. It was a good time there. It was actually pretty full, though. They almost might have to look at a bigger place.
They did fill up the stands, yeah. I'm not sure that was all 8-man team specific fans, though. I think there might have been a healthy amount of Liberty Center fans in there as
I
well.
think so. And if you move it from Liberty Center, you're going to lose them.
But
Kind
you
of like
might get a different town's fans, so
That's true.
hard to say.
Returning this season will be Holgate, Toledo Christian, Sandusky St. Mary, Lakeside Danbury, Sebring McKinley, and Stryker, the 6 teams that were there last year. There are 2 new teams joining this year, Fremont St. Joseph and Southington Chalker. Southington Chalker's quite far to the east. It'll be a good drive for them. This will be their actual first varsity team since 2020. So
Oh,
their program was not surviving as an 11-man squad the last few. So it'd be nice to see them make a comeback here as an 8-man team. Yeah, and as you know, the number of teams here it just might vary a little before the season starts. We don't know for
true.
sure, but Southington Chalker hasn't had a team for a couple of years. They still have to put it together here this year. The Ohio High School Athletic Association actually, for some reason, still lists Fremont St. Joseph as being in Region 26 for 11-man football.
Oh, okay.
But
They
their
might not have
schedule,
gotten the paperwork in.
but their schedule is all 8-man football teams right now. So our
Interesting.
our contacts at the conference office are expecting Fremont St. Joe to be playing 8-man football this.
Well, I hope for Sebring McKinley's case, Jocker stays in. It'd be nice to have a team accessible for driving. Don't
Yes,
have to go all the way across the state.
and if you get 2, maybe you'll get another couple
Maybe I'll
years to
get
come
another
here, right?
couple. This
And we
might be
get
the start of a second region for 8-man football.
yeah, that would be the goal.
Yeah.
Now, we hate to go too long here. We're still in the preseason after all. We don't need to have too long of a podcast. So we shall halt here and we shall resume, in a week or a little less with Division 6 and Division 7 in our next episode. And as usual, comments, questions can be sent by email to bdmonin@nktelco.net, or you can submit them on X to @BruceMonin.
Now, question there.
Yes.
YouTube famously has comment sections. Will we be active there to see if there's any activity?
I think we should. I think we should. So a YouTube comment section would be a fantastic place to leave any comments or questions for us.
Start engagement with the other Midwest Ohio enthusiast community.
And what's also nice about YouTube is I can see exactly how many people listened and watched on YouTube. So it's nice
So
for
maybe
us.
we should send everyone to YouTube.
Everyone go to YouTube.
You don't need a podcast. Go watch a video.
There you go.
10 pictures on it.
But if you're resisting that, do us and yourself a favor. Subscribe to this podcast at the Apple Podcast Store, Amazon Music, or iHeartRadio. And again, you can subscribe on YouTube also. I forget how you do that. Is there a subscribe button or is it like a heart or something?
Yes. No, there's a subscribe.
You
can like it, which also gives us statistics, but the subscribe will get you more of the videos.
All right. Sounds great. Just
there
search
might
for
also
Bruce
be a follow button, but I haven't been on YouTube in a while.
Yeah. I watch things there, but I don't remember how I subscribe to them. So.
Yeah.
But as usual, at all these places, just search for Bruce Monan's Computer Points. And as I said before, tune in again in 5 to 7 days as we continue our regional assignments assessment. Ooh, assignments assessment.
Assignment assessment.
Right here on Bruce Monan's Computer Points. So long, everybody.